Okay, so this is another one of our tutorials to create one of our compositional map rectangles, or more just in the idea of how we would use one of these rectangles to frame out the larger outer edges perimeter of our composition. I hopefully you've already watched my little tutorial on how to create a right angle. If you don't have a right angle square, and watch my tutorial on how to create the golden rectangle, where I also talk about the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. What I want to show you right now is how we would create both the root 1 rectangle, which is just a square, how we create the root 2, and then fast forward a little bit and how we create the root 5. So again, we're just going to draw a straight line with our ruler. I'll move that up a little bit. So just a straight line. We're not going to need that entire length, but we're going to get kind of close. Again, this would be a great time to do that right angle construction, but just to save a little time, I'm going to use my little 90-degree angle here. Now again, I'm going to want to just create that into a square. I'm going to use a 4-inch square this time. So I'm going to use my ruler, measure out 4 inches. Measure out 4 inches. Again, get my vertical. If you're curious why I keep using this inner edge of this square, it's because that corner there, I feel like I've probably dropped in the studio a couple times and might be slightly dinged. So this way I can know that that's going to be a little bit cleaner of a straight line. Again, this is a 4-inch, so measure out that 4. You might hear some of my kids in the background. Quarantine teaching. Okay, so now I have a 4-inch by 4-inch square. Now, for our purposes, we can call that a square, or we can call this a root 1. A root 1 rectangle. Now, from the root 1 rectangle, we learned in the previous video that if we found the middle point of this lower edge, and we used our compass to measure from the middle point to this upper corner and drew down an arc, then that would give us our golden ratio. For our purposes, for converting a root 1 to a root 2, instead of taking this measurement from the center to the corner, we're going to go from corner to corner, which gives us a little bit different rectangle. I'm not sure if my compass here will be wide enough for 4 inches. Might get close. If it doesn't, I'll switch to that larger compass again. Just messed by a little bit. Now, totally through coincidence, that measurement from my previous video happens to be really close, so that was convenient. So again, taking the lower corner, the upper opposite corner, drawing arc down, that's going to give me my reference point for this next corner for the root 2 rectangle. So I want my vertical right angle. And again, gonna draw that straight line to finish out my root 2. Now, difference between a root 1 being the square, a root 2 now is this entire length. So if I was to define that a little bit more clearly, the root 2 would be the square that is between, or not the square, excuse me, the rectangle. So this would be our root 2 rectangle. Now for your assignment, you're going to be deciding to use a root 1, so the square, the root 2, which I just drew out, or it's going to be root 5. So let's look at how to create a root 5. Now, there's a couple different ways to create the root 5. One of the ways, or the way that I'm going to show you right now, is just to continue to build off of the root 1 and then the root 2. So we're going to take, and again, we're going to take that same lower corner point, and we want to find the distance to the opposite upper corner. Once we have that, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a head start here. I'm going to just take and draw that upper line all the way out. Just to give myself a point of reference. Okay. So this is actually going to be root 3, and then I'm going to make a root 4, and then I'm going to make the root 5. We don't have to worry about the root 3 and 4, so I'm going to do that fairly quickly here. So that's the root 3. Oh, so close. So there's my angle for my root 4. And finally, gonna get my length for my root 5. Now the root 5 rectangle is a really handy rectangle for like more of a panoramic type of composition. It's also a rectangle compositional size that was used in the Middle Ages time frame quite a bit. It's also one that we're going to find to be very handy when it comes to wanting to create a composition that has multiple scenes in it. Okay, so root 1, root 2, 3, 4, and now we have a root 5 rectangle. Let me mark that out with a pen. Now, in the slideshow that I'm sharing with the class, you'll see that this is the construction. I think it's on the second or third slide that I show that this is the construction of how to create this, but it's not the compositional map that we use. We have a couple different compositional maps that we should be familiar with, but one of them, excuse me, but one of the most interesting things about the root 5, square is that if we were to find a root 1 rectangle in the very center, so if we found a square in the very center of this, so that would be a 4-inch by 4-inch square, what we would also find is that this is a golden rectangle, this is a golden rectangle, which of course would mean that this whole area would be a golden rectangle, or vice versa, this would be. So this is again one of those interesting places where the golden ratio starts intersecting with some of our other types of constructions. So another way to find the root 5 rectangle would be to draw our golden rectangle from the previous instructions tutorial, and then to flip the tutorial over basically, and draw another golden rectangle on the other side. You'll see that when we do it this way, what we end up is we create almost a triptych type of feel to our composition, where we can have a main scene in the center, and then a secondary scene and a tertiary scene in the composition. So thank you for watching. Try that construction out.